Hey guys, today we're going to be diving into some of the most popular stories of Grey Lady ghosts. Grey Ladies are female ghosts that fit standard ghostly tropes such as unfinished business, and the hauntings include apparitions that appear in grey historical clothing. They are most common in British folklore, being seen in places like pubs, castles and palaces, but have been reported elsewhere in the world as well. Similar apparitions have been seen in the media as well, including the Woman in Black and Helena Ravenclaw from Harry Potter. So let's dive into some ghost stories. Dudley Castle was built in 1071 and is considered the most haunted castle in England and one of the most haunted in Europe. It's thought to be haunted by the Grey Lady Dorothy Beaumont. Dorothy died on April 26th in 1646. 7 months before her death, Dorothy gave birth to a daughter, Frances, who died soon after the birth, and Dorothy died due to the complications from the birth. On her deathbed, she made two final requests. One, to be buried next to her daughter, and the other for her husband to attend her funeral. Neither of these happened. Dorothy's death happened during the Civil War. Royalists requested a ceasefire so Dorothy's body could be taken to the town for burial. However, a drummer boy who was carrying the reply never made it back, as the opposition shot and killed the boy. The drummer boy is also thought to haunt the castle grounds, with people reporting they have seen a boy in Civil War clothing walking up the track, and people have reported drumming noises in the area. Because the ceasefire couldn't be attained, Dorothy's body couldn't be buried along with her daughters, and her husband could not attend her funeral due to the ongoing civil war, and there were fears of him being assassinated. It's thought that she is haunting the grounds because her wishes were not fulfilled. A photo was taken in 2014 by a pair of tourists, and was thought to have captured the Grey Lady ghost. So this is the photo that was taken by the two tourists. It was taken from one of the towers on the other side of the grounds. And this is where they noticed the figure later when they went home and reviewed their photos. And here is the figure zoomed in a bit closer. I have the zoomed in image as well and here's the zoomed in image by itself. So here we definitely see a woman's figure, and she's definitely wearing a grey dress. Nothing too much that you can distinguish as to sort of period, like dating the clothing, but it also appears potentially that there's another sort of head here, so that this might be a child. So from that, personally, I would deduct that this is just a tourist wearing a long dress that's holding the hands of her daughter walking through the castle grounds, as this is a popular tourist spot. But this is the image that allegedly captures the Grey Lady of Dudley Castle. But personally, I just see a woman with her child. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Ghost sightings and paranormal activity have been reported at Dudley Castle for centuries, and the Grey Lady in particular is usually sighted near the castle keep and the pub that is named after her, the Grey Lady Tavern, which is on the castle grounds. Temperature drops, strange sounds, alarms being triggered seemingly without reason, and mist floating through the bar have all been reported. Hampton Court is most well known as the palace of King Henry VIII, and many Tudor monarchs have resided there. The Grey Lady of Hampton Court is thought to be the ghost of Dame Sybil Penn, who died of smallpox in 1562. She was a servant to 4 of the Tudor monarchs, and she was Prince Edward's nurse, and she also nursed Elizabeth I when she had smallpox. Elizabeth overcame the illness, but unfortunately Sybil caught it and later died. The sightings of this Grey Lady started in 1829, when Dame Sybil Penn's tomb was moved, when the church was rebuilt. Afterwards, people reported hearing someone working on a spinning wheel through the wall, and through investigation, an unknown chamber was found which had an antique spinning wheel inside. In recent years, a photo was taken by a schoolgirl that was thought to have captured the ghost. The ghost is in one photo and gone the next. So this was the first image that was taken by the schoolgirl at Hampton Court. This is her friend. And again, this figure wasn't noticed until later when they reviewed the photos. And then going to the next photo, you can see that the figure is no longer there. But going back to the image of the actual ghost, well, to the alleged ghost. So here it looks like she's almost clipped through the rope. She's not behind it. She's not in front of it. I think she's too far to the side to be in front of it anyway. I think the shape of the clothing, it looks more like an old-fashioned, puffed out sort of dress. And then another thing worth noting is the hair. So it's very, very long. And this image almost reminds me of the woman in black in a way. It looks like she's looking at the girl going past. I'm quite skeptical of this, I think, because it's so blatant, and the fact that it wasn't noticed until later, even though it was taken on an iPhone where the image is there straight away, is quite strange. Also, a photographer, which I'll go in more detail with later, explains that there's an anomaly where something like this could have happened, and it basically is caused by an issue with the mobile phone that's taking the photo. But this is a hard one to, as skeptical as I am, I can't write this off completely. But it's very hard for me to say, yep, that's a ghost. But please let me know what you think down in the comments. It has been suggested by photography experts that this is an anomaly caused by image aliasing, where basically the iPhone that the photo was taken on has struggled to take a decent picture, and the figure is a person that was moving when the photo was taken, and all their positions have morphed together into one figure. There are many other ghosts that are also prevalent at Hampton Court, one of which is Henry VIII's fifth wife, Catherine Howard, who is thought to haunt the palace. Her ghost is known as the Screaming Queen, as before she died, she was dragged through the palace screaming after she was accused of adultery, and then was beheaded in 1541. Willard Library in Indiana, USA is thought to be haunted by the ghost of Louise Carpenter, who was the daughter of the founder of the library. When her father died, he left everything to his business and the library. Louise later sued the library board for what she thought she was owed, and she lost the lawsuit. It's thought that she now haunts the library until she gets what she is owed. The first official sighting of this grey lady was in the basement in 1937, where a maintenance worker, there to stoke the furnace, put his light down, and when he picked it back up, there was a woman stood in front of him. She was wearing a long grey dress and a veil over her face. When he tried to speak to her, she went around the corner and disappeared. As well as this sighting, other things that have been reported on the site have been the smell of perfume, extreme temperature drops, strange noises, books and furniture found moved, people having the feeling of someone touching their hair or their earrings, and water turning on or off. So it turns out that Willard Library actually has a 24/7 live cam feed of certain rooms in the library that the Grey Lady is supposed to be haunting, and I thought I'd have a go and see if we can have a look at the cams and see if we can see anything. So this is the site. I'll leave a link in the description as well so you guys can check it out as well. So we've got the children's room, the basement hall, which is where she was sighted by the guy who was there stoking the furnace, and the research room. So let's go through these and see if we can see anything. Okay, so this one doesn't seem to be working. Try the basement hall. This link seems to be broken, and let's try the research room. Okay, wow, that was a shame. Alright, well, what I'll do is, like I said, I'll leave a link to the site below, so if you guys want to check out, maybe it'll be up and running then. Maybe it's not running right now because of COVID and stuff. Hopefully it'll be back on. It seems to be quite a popular thing. Apparently they had over 2 million hits the first Halloween that they opened it. It's probably a lot of publicity for them. But yeah, I'll leave that link in the description. Hopefully the cams are up and running at some point, and if you guys find anything or see anything, please let me know. Cambridge Military Hospital opened in 1879 and has cared for casualties from wars for over 100 years. The Grey Lady of this building is said to haunt the upper floor and is thought to have been a member of the Queen Alexandra's Royal Army Nursing Corps. The theory is that this nurse died from jumping from the upper floor after accidentally killing a soldier with an accidental drug overdose. It's also thought that she may be there to help guide people to the afterlife, as she is usually spotted when there is a fatally ill or dying patient. In the area that she haunts, there have been reports of temperature drops. Many people working in the building have avoided the area she is said to haunt completely, taking longer routes to get to where they need to be. One of the eyewitness accounts of this ghost was from a former patient who was in the hospital in 1986. He reports seeing a nurse in his ward in the early hours of the morning, but the nurse seemed to be dressed in a dated nurse's uniform. The strangest part was he explains that the nurse had no facial features, just a blank face, but he writ this off as he was just too tired and his vision was too blurry, so he just wasn't making out the face. A nurse the next morning confirmed to him that no nurse had visited the ward that night. He ends his account by saying, "The crux of the story is that the fellow in the bed 3 down from me, the bed at which I had seen the Grey Lady standing, was found dead when they brought breakfast round a few minutes later." I'll leave a link in the description where you can find this and other eyewitness accounts from this Grey Lady. The area of Oxney Bottom in Kent has had its fair share of sightings reported of its own Grey Lady. She has been blamed for car accidents in the area. She once boarded a double-decker bus where she went to the top deck, and a driver followed her up soon after to ask her to pay for a ticket, and when she reached the top, no one was there. One woman stated when she was 14, walking through the area with friends, a stick was thrown at them with great force, which she interpreted as a warning from something evil. Animals have displayed odd behaviour, including horses and dogs. This includes an account from someone whose dog would act out of character and walk extremely close to her when they were in the area, and when they reached the graveyard of the chapel, the dog started growling. At this point, the owner felt a drop in temperature along with a menacing presence. In 2018, a girl and her cousin took a photo that they believe captured the Grey Lady of Oxney Bottom. They hadn't noticed the figure in the photo until later when they were at home. So this was the photo taken by the girl at Oxney Bottom. So she said that she took this photo because she liked the way that the light was coming through the trees. So she just wanted to take a scenic picture, and she didn't notice this sort of misty figure over here until later on. I assume she edited the photo later with this big red arrow and shared it with friends. But looking at this from the offset, to me, I thought that this might have been taken from like a car window and it was a reflection, but it wasn't. It was taken outside. The girl was outside while she took the photo. There's also this strange sort of smudge effect over here, but this seems more in character with the, I don't know whether that's the right phrasing, but it seems more part of the scenery, as in the colours that are in this sort of smudge. Whereas here it stands out from the background. It's not just a smudge of what is there in the photo, so it's not like greens from the trees and blacks from the shadows. It's this standout white figure, and looks like it's sort of standing in the bush, or it's standing in front of the bush, and it's tapering off at the bottom. Going on to the zoomed in version of this photo to get a better look. Looking at it a lot more closely, I can personally visualize the actual figure and the facial features of a person on this sort of shape. So you've got the top of the head here, and I can see like an eye here, I can see a nose, I can see the mouth here and the chin, and it's sort of a very flowing figure. Here I can see sort of like an elbow maybe, and this is the arm. And this obviously could just be pareidolia, where your brain wants to see patterns. So if something looks almost like a face. Your brain's going to see a face. It's like when you stare in the dark and your overactive imagination starts forming shapes in front of you because your brain's trying to figure out what it can't see. So because of that, that might be why I'm visualizing a face right here, because I'm being told this is supposed to be a ghost of a person. So my brain is like, okay, so this has to look like a person. So that might be why I'm seeing these facial features. Honestly, I feel like this is quite an interesting one though, especially with these sort of facial features that can be picked out. I don't know whether you guys see it too. If you see it too, then please comment down below, or comment if you don't see anything at all, or you just see this as a smudge. But I can definitely personally pick out features of a person in this sort of misty form. Not that that actually means that this is an image of a ghost. It may just mean that it's a very human-like looking smudge, but it is quite an interesting one. Photographer Tony Flashman suggested alternatives to explain the anomaly, theorising the possibility of fluff on the lens, light reflections, and points out the smudge on the other side of the photo. This grey lady has yet to be identified, but theories include that she died in the area due to an accident, she haunts the area in search of her lost love, or that she was a plague victim living in the village that used to be in the area. Taff's Well in Wales has its own Grey Lady story. The Grey Lady is thought to have once haunted the well, and the story tells of a man who was lured by a woman in grey while he was collecting water from the well. She asked him to hold her tight by both hands. He followed her instructions, but he loosened his grip. He let go and felt a stabbing pain in his side. Then she said that due to his bad grip, she would now remain a ghost for another 100 years. She vanished and was never seen again. In Warley Woods, Birmingham, an incident happened in 1822 where two men were hunting in the area, Samuel Whitehouse along with his brother Joseph Downing. After hunting, they went to a friend's house for dinner and afterwards parted ways. Whitehouse's horse was later found without Whitehouse. A boy described the horse as in a state of eye-rolling terror. Whitehouse was found unconscious and heavily bleeding from the head. The person that found him went for help, and when he came back, Whitehouse was missing his change and his pocket watch. Whitehouse died due to his injuries. Whitehouse's brother-in-law Downing was arrested for the murder. Allegedly, the defence during the trial argued that the Grey Lady of Warley Woods was the cause of death, as the horse was startled by the sudden appearance of the phantom form of a woman said to manifest itself close to the spot where the unfortunate man was found. It was argued that the Grey Lady had been witnessed by numerous people in order to give weight to the ghostly theory. The two doctors that testified during the trial could not agree with whether the injuries could have been caused by being thrown from a horse and kicked by the horse or not. Due to the evidence provided, including the statement about the ghost, the verdict was swayed. Downing was acquitted. Around a year later, a man was selling Whitehouse's missing pocket watch. The man admitted he had robbed Whitehouse while he was unconscious, but never came forward for fear of being accused of the murder. Whether his death was an accident caused by the sudden appearance of a ghost, or whether it was an actual murder, is yet to be confirmed. In the late 1800s, when Warley Abbey was home to MP Hugh Reid, a guest of his, cartoonist Harry Furness, claimed he saw the Grey Lady walking down a pathway and then disappeared. He made a sketch of the ghost and the image was published in the papers soon after. Unfortunately, I cannot find the image or the paper that it was printed in. Sometime after, a young Robert Shaw had an encounter with the Grey Lady that he shared later in life. He said, "Near the poolside, away from the beech trees, there were two big oak trees, and by these trees was the figure of a lady. Before we could stop him, our dog tore the lead from our hands and ran off. We definitely saw the lady. She was wearing an old-fashioned dress that touched the ground, and she had a dignified manner. The light was not that bad, but we could not distinguish her features. She was looking straight towards us, and we began to feel very scared. so we bolted for home. The story of this grey lady is still talked about by the children of the school nearby, and they still scare each other with stories of the grey lady, including one story where if you use the toilets in the woods, the grey lady will jump up and bite you where the sun doesn't shine. As for the identity of this grey lady, there are a few theories. One being that it's the ghost of Joan de Bottetourt, who owned the land and gave her property, including the now haunted area, to Hales Owen Abbey in 1325. In return, she asked for the monks to pray eternally for her soul. It is thought that due to the breakdown of the abbey in 1538, the prayers for Bottetourt stopped, and she is now forced to wander the property that once belonged to her. It has also been theorised that the Grey Lady is one of the two daughters of the builder and first owner of Warley Abbey, Hubbard Galton. During his family's time at the abbey in the 1790s, his daughter Lucy was found murdered and the killer was never found. His other daughter was thought to have hung herself from a tree on the grounds after being abandoned by her lover. Both are potential candidates for the Grey Lady ghost. There are so many more Grey Lady stories that exist around Britain and the rest of the world. There's even supposedly a Grey Lady in my hometown, which I plan to go into more depth with in a future video that I'm planning. But let me know what you think of these stories down below in the comments. And if you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to see more content from me, then please subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.